We talking about sports. It is us, boys. I got my boy Big Paps Revenge up there at the top of your screen, repping his Texans jersey. Texans proud. He's from Texas. Then I got my boy J Mart, fresh out, fresh out of Mass. Got the opportunity today to change it up. Throw on the T-shirt. It's the three-man weeper. We talking about sports. Missing our fourth soldier, Roland. Shout out to you, man. I know you're watching. So the Sunday sit down, boys. It's NFL Week 5. First, we're going to start off with some sad day chaos. See what I did there? There was a lot of sadness on Saturday. There might be a new national number 1. I know you guys will be definitely proud of the team that's going to take over the reins. Then we're switching to NFL. Best bets, fantasy insights, and our survivor pool. It might come to an end, and it's only week 5. How are we feeling, boys, about the show today?
Feeling good. There's some football on the tube already. We have the first London game. We know they went to Brazil the first Friday of the season. Got the Jets and the Vikings in London this morning, started at 8:30. So it was nice to wake up to some football and some soccer. But it's 17-7 right now, mid-third quarter. The Vikings are up. And we already have, Aaron Jones injured and left the game. Sauce Gardner left the game as well. So fantasy, folks woke up and were already pissed off at their fantasy lineups.
Justin, how are we feeling, man? You excited for the slate today?
You know what? I'm not excited about today's slate. I think some of the matchups are a little whack. I think the better game is the 12 o'clock game, Ben's team against his old former team, the Bills. So, depending on what jersey Ben's wearing that day, we'll see where it goes. And then not until tonight when the Cowboys play the Steelers is another game. But Monday Night Football should be good. We get the Saints and the Chiefs, so looking forward to that.
All right, well, without further ado, let's get into it. Let's start off with the Saturday Madness. This is your area of expertise right here, Justin. You are our college guy. If you can go ahead and take us over to that.
Well, like you said, Ron, Saturday Madness, if you were playing yesterday and you were in the top 25, for the most part, it was a sweat for the majority of the teams. We did see the number 1 team coming off a big win against Georgia, where they kind of played the last 2 quarters a little bit bad, and then they play the 4 quarters against Vanderbilt, an unranked team, a team where Nick Saban had just said, hey, this is the only team in the SEC that when you go play them over there, it's like you're the home court because the fans travel so well. And we saw that in the stands. It looked like a construction site. I mean, it was a bad stadium. You saw a little bit more crimson than you saw white and black. And guess what? The upset was in. But, I mean, it was chaos. You had USC in Minnesota, upset there. Michigan, Washington, rematch of the national title, upset there. Tennessee with E.M. Leva, the big-time quarterback recruit, number 1, they paid him $8 million supposedly just to go to Tennessee. This guy's running the ball with the last play on the down, out of bounds, not even taking a shot into the end zone. I mean, it's just baffling. And it took another miracle for Miami to win last night against Cal. If you stayed up to 1:30 to finish that game, which I did, I mean, they're getting bailed out by their conference because they have a Heisman contender, and that conference is bailing Miami out right now. That's 2 weeks back-to-back where the bailout and the fix has been in.
Bro, your passion for the NCAA is unreal. You can definitely hear it in your voice, and we love it. This is actually a post that was up on our social media pages, so if you follow us on social media, go leave some comments. What do you think about all the upsets that happened? Ben, I'm going to kick it to you because there's a team logo there in the corner, and I know those are your boys. You're always throwing up the horns. What are the implications now for Texas? Clearly, they're the new number 1, without a doubt.
Yeah, I think without a doubt. I think they were the number 1, and then after Bama beat Georgia, Bama jumped them. So now, without a doubt, I mean, without even having to play this week, they moved to number 1. Of course, they still got to go and play some tough games, here coming up starting with Oklahoma next week and then followed by Georgia. Mm-hmm. So the schedule's barely going to get tough for the Longhorns. We know that Michigan game was, one of their only tests this season, but Michigan's very one-dimensional, and it's clear that Harbaugh's gone, right? Because the team is struggling. They're struggling. For me, the one for me yesterday was the Tennessee one. I mean, I watched that game, and that offense is supposed to be so high-powered. They just couldn't get anything going. It was pretty bad, man. The quarterback, like Justin said, true freshman, doesn't even give his team a chance. He runs out of bounds with the ball as time is expiring. So
inexplicable.
Yeah, that's kind of Tennessee, though. I mean, they kind of have that Longhorns rap where it's like, oh, are they legit? Are they legit? And then they go and have a performance like that. It was on the road in Arkansas. So, I mean, a true road game. But Arkansas this year is not a team. I mean, the other team scores 19 points. You probably should win the game if you're Tennessee, averaging 40 plus points per game up to this point. So that's the one that really surprised me.
Then the one that you got to look out for as well is Texas A&M, because in the past we've been on this roller coaster with them. I'm not a fan, but I follow them, where they have all this preseason hype. They go, they lose a game, and then they win a big game and they're back, and then they fall. Yesterday they beat ninth ranked Missouri, which they were favored at home by 2 points, but they beat them. They beat them handedly. It's a new coach, a new era, a new system. Do you think we're going to see that fall, that dip in the roller coaster again, or do you think this train is still moving up?
I don't with A&M. I really don't think that they're that good. For Missouri, it was their first road game of the season, so we know that it's not. It's really tough to play in there. And then they had some bad penalty calls early in the game.
Early.
That Missouri, a 75-yard house call by Burton, and it gets called back for an illegal lineman downfield or a shift, some crap.
Illegal man downfield.
Then they go for it on 4th and 1, and there's a pass interference flag. They throw it, and then they end up picking it up, and it's a turnover on down. So, yeah, it was Missouri just hadn't been tested on the road, and I don't think A&M is that legit, bro. They did kill it. They look legit. I think they only got stopped on 1 or 2 drives yesterday, but yeah, I don't think that they're legit.
Wigman's back. We'll see. I'm gonna hold my breath. I don't believe them to be legit. I know it's a new coach and everything, but they got bailed out. It was a 7-point swing right away. Momentum completely went the other way after that 7-point swing. So I just think we're still on that same roller coaster where eventually they come back to life.
Here it is, man. Some are calling it the biggest upset in SEC history. Vandy, as we all know, 140-35. What do you guys think of the performance from Milroe, though? Was his performance good enough? Was it not good enough? Was it just him carrying the team? And what does it do for his Heisman implications? Before we go to what Saban said on the next slide.
Yeah, I think that everybody was saying, "Oh, it's his," after beating Georgia, and I mean, it was just for 1 week. Paiva, the transfer out of New Mexico, Raza, he outplayed Milroe, and I know with Vanderbilt they have that scheme where they really hide the ball in the zone read, and it's a tricky offense if you're the defense. And I mean, any big third downs, they were converting a lot of big plays converted by Vanderbilt. So it was nice to see them parade that goalpost 3 miles into the river, and then have just for EMT and fire departments have to go and pull the goalpost out of the river. So yeah, it was a pretty big scene. And for Milroe, I think that I personally, I think that's the end of his Heisman. You got guys like Genty and Travis Hunter, who are losing games, but just the performances every single game, whether the team wins or loses. Milroe had a big fumble late in the 4th quarter, when Alabama was down 5 and driving to take the lead.
But Justin, you had mentioned something that Saban had said earlier, and I think it's on the next slide where he says the only place that you can go and not and get an easy win is Vanderbilt. Then you saw the player interviewed after the game on the field, and he says, "Vandy, where something turned."
Yeah, man, he had a few words. He wasn't the only cuss word he said after the big win, and I can't blame the kid. It's a big time win. He started as a Manziel fan, and his dream was seeing Manziel beat Alabama, and he kind of made it a reality for himself. So this is where we're at now. We're at the point where you got college kids who are Manziel fans. That's how old the game is. That's now how for
old
us.
We are, bro.
Yeah. But yeah, man, Nick Saban, he's famously known for not buying into the rat poison, but for some reason he decided to give his old team, the other team, some ammo against them, which it's just not Nick Saban-esque. But you know what? He's no longer in charge of Alabama, so now he's kind of having fun. I don't know if you saw him on game day. He was swinging ties around his head. Like, he's breaking out of his shell a little more. It's a little bit out of character. If he was a coach, this definitely wouldn't be said. But he's not the coach no more, so now he's letting it fly.
I like it. All right, boys. So started off the show with some NCAA, got everybody warmed up. Hope everybody has their coffee. Edgar's already here. Thank you for joining us, Eddie. If anybody has questions regarding fantasy or NFL, go ahead and drop them in the comments. Steve is already here already. I saw some people watching. If you're watching, go ahead and like and share. But here it is, boys. Here's the slate. Ben was already talking about the Vikings game going on. I believe they're up. Sunday night game, we got the boys. We got the Monday night game, the Chiefs and the Saints. As we do always, boys, where are your eyes going to be besides NFL Red Zone? Any games of interest that you have here?
Yeah, for me, obviously that Texans and Bills game is going to be a good one with both teams. The Texans did win last week, but it wasn't very pretty, and we saw the Bills get smacked on. Was it Monday Night Football or Sunday Night Football that they got beat up by the Ravens? So big bounce back game there. I'm definitely going to be watching that one. And then I will have my eyes on the Colts and the Jags just because that's a division game. I know both teams pretty bad, but with Flacco playing today, I think that some of the Colts players are in play fantasy-wise. So, yeah, I will be watching that kind of stinker over there also.
Justin, where you at, man? I know you're the type of guy who has 2, 3 TVs set up, split screens, but where your eyes going to be focused on today?
The main game for me today, besides the Cowboy game, of course, will be the Bills and Texans because
another one.
I want to see what kind of pressure the Bills get put on them because they didn't answer the call when it was the Ravens. And I kind of had said preseason that the trajectory for Josh Allen would go down. And when he played the Dolphins, he didn't have to do much. He had like 139 yards passing. They were 3-0, riding off like nothing had dropped. But it was like he really wasn't doing much for me, at least statistically. It was everything around him. Now they went and played a decent team in the Ravens, who honestly, at the time, I don't know if they had maybe one win at the time, and they got smacked up a little bit. So I'm trying to find out who's the real team and who's the pretender of the two. Because even with the Texans, I've expected them to be a little bit more dominant going into the season than they have been. I know they, squeaked out a win against the Bears, and then last week they showed off a little more. But this is going to show who's tougher. I do like the Texans today. I just love that coach, bro. What's his name? D'Amico Ryans? Yeah. I love what he brings to the team. That's a gritty coach, bro. So I'm looking forward to that. And then, of course, with the Cowboys, bro, this is a game that we're definitely dogs in. That defense is giving us problems. We can't establish the run right now. So it's going to be a tough one in Pittsburgh.
For the Texans, they have been suffering without Joe Mixon. This is the third game that he misses. So having Cam Akers back there and really no run game to play off of the play action in the past, it's made it a little tougher for them. Not making excuses, but hopefully next week, Joe Mixon will be back from that high ankle sprain that he had.
Not making excuses, but sounded like an excuse there, pal. I'll give it to you, though. Your team's doing well. I'm going to focus real quick on the Bengals and the Ravens. Let me reach over for
AFC North.
You guys, me and my Joey B, my side piece. That's going to be a game where it's going to come down to Lamar and Joe Burrow, like it always does. Is Lamar for real? He's had some up and down performances. Joe Burrow on the other side. The Bengals are headed up in the right direction. So it's going to be a real important game there. I'm going to be watching on the second TV because I don't want to split screen that or have the guy from NFL Red Zone talking in all the games. So all right, let's move it on. Ben, we're gonna kick it to you, man. This is our best bets portion of the show. We talking bets, NFL Week 5. This game already started. Ben, take us through this one.
Yeah, I won't go too much into this one because it already started, but and we probably should have put this out because we knew we were going to podcast at 10, but I did like the Vikings, just really not liking what I've seen so far from Aaron Rodgers this season. Even fantasy-wise, I thought Garrett Wilson was going to be a lot better than he has been. Ended up trading him away this week. Kind of cut all ties with the Jets. I'm not liking what I'm seeing. I'm not a Jets believer. I like the Vikings defense. They've given everybody hell. I mean, shit, they sunned the Texans, just 2 weeks ago. So I like the Vikings at that low price on a neutral field in London. It is now only a touchdown game here to start the fourth quarter. The Jets ended up getting a field goal, so 17-10 in that one. And that's what I got there.
Nice. Moving along, Justin. What do we got here, man?
Then the Commanders.
Here they are.
Yeah, last week we were on the Commanders overs with the Cardinals. Kind of just we'll get to the Cardinals, but I'm liking what I'm seeing from the Commanders. Jaden Daniels Scary Terry's back in the mix. Brian Robinson Jr. is injured this week, but they do get back Austin Eckler. Not saying that he's going to, fill the complete needs of Brian Robinson, but at least he has him as a check down option in the passing game. So the Browns, they haven't been able to keep Deshaun Watson upright. I think they're a sinking ship over there. So I'm going to go with the Commanders -3 here against the Browns.
I like that.
Justin, when it comes to Jaden Daniels, I mean, clear rookie of the year. You're seeing it on the screen for yourself. I mean, dare I say, Mike Vick comparisons. It's only through 4 weeks. This is week 5. He's got a decent test against the Browns defense. Rookie of the year for sure. Is his roller coaster going to dip a little bit, or is this guy just for real?
I think he comes down a little bit because it is his rookie season, but I think rookie of the year is probably wrapped up. He has a better, pieces around him than I think his counterpart would in Chicago, Caleb. So I think the rookie of the year got wrapped up last Monday when they won. Or
I don't know if you can just say that so lightly. I mean, he's got DJ Moore, Keenan Allen. They drafted Rome Odunze. They signed DeAndre Swift. Caleb Williams was supposed to be going into a good situation. I mean, I don't want to get too off topic, but coming into the season, I would think that everybody would say those targets are probably better than what Washington has.
I think on paper you would have said that, but have you seen these guys are not getting any separation on the Bear side? I mean, they're not playing much better.
Caleb Williams is good personally, so I always blame the quarterback when you got all those targets, those guys that have been doing it for years. I know some people want to blame the offensive coordinator. Jackson Smith-Njigba has, been on record kind of not talking badly about him, but, if you can read between the lines, he said that it wasn't going to be very good with that guy. And DJ Moore has had a very down year. So anyways, that's another topic. I like the Commanders here.
You're fine, Ben, because I just want to touch on that. Just the way Jaden Daniels has taken over the league so far in the first 4 weeks and Caleb Williams hasn't. Hey, it's a long season, guys. These guys play 16, 17 games. Caleb Williams could get hot, maybe take the Bears on a playoff run. Say the Commanders fall off a little bit. Then all the attention is going to be back on Caleb Williams. They're going to say he started slow in the beginning of the year. He was learning the system. He was getting accustomed to the NFL. All those storylines that the media throws out. And who knows, if he ends the year on a streak with some gaudy stats, he could take over here. Ben, what else has you got, man? I know you got several bets here.
Yeah, the Ravens, one of those games that you were talking about, you said Lamar would be the key. For me, I'm looking a little bit more. I think now the Ravens are just feeding King Henry until the wheels fall off and then letting Lamar play off of that. So I don't think that the Bengals are going to be able to stop the run game of Derrick Henry. And then you mix in Lamar, a little bit of Justice Hill. It's a lot. So I do like the Ravens here just to be more physical. I mean, this is a division game. We know both teams record-wise are not where they want to be, but I like the Ravens here just to be more physical and beat up on the Cincinnati Bengals.
What do you think about the spread, Justin? -2.5. You're a kind of guy who maybe will throw this in a money line parlay or just take them straight up. Are you messing with the 2.5, or what's the move here?
Yeah, I'll do this bet all day. I mean, I think the Bengals are suffering right now, and the Ravens have kind of caught their stride. Like their game plan has changed. They're featuring Henry a lot more, like Ben said. You see him running against the Cowboys. You saw him running last week. He broke off like a 80-yarder or 90-yarder last week. I mean, that's the game plan they should run off of, and I think it's going to work. Unfortunately, for what it means for me is less targets to the tight ends. In fantasy, there's implications there, but it is what it is. I think they're the better suited team. You can see some frustration with the Bengals early when they were, with Jamar Chase. He had that penalty that cost him the game. You can see on the sidelines, you can just see the body language. It's not all there. It really isn't right now. The Bengals are going through it.
Just say that Mark Andrews is a bum. Nico, what's up, man? Thanks for watching.
Unlikely.
Parsons is out. In Dak we trust. Well, you got to trust in somebody, Nico, because the Astros did you dirty, dog. But I'm not going to take it there because this is NFL. It's
I don't think they did us dirty, bro. We went to 7 straight ALCS. Like, what are we talking about, bro?
And leave out the best part where it's just prende la vela.
What else you got for us, Justin?
I think.
And over here, Ben. All right.
Yeah, the Cardinals. I'm kind of just picking on the Cardinals defense. I think that their offense. I am a little bit bought in on Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison and McBride. So hopefully they turn it around a bit. But their defense is giving it up. The Niners we saw put up 30 last week. I think the Niners are guaranteed to put up 30 here. and it's a division game. The Cardinals are, accustomed to playing them. So I see them putting at least 20. I like the over 49, and I'm kind of just going to be playing Cardinals overs because they've been doing well so far this season.
All right, I like it. It is at 305. San Francisco defense is banged up. I don't know if Fred Warner's going to play after that performance that he had last week. Any trouble here, Justin, to getting to the 49 for both teams?
I'm just worried about the San Francisco doing their part in lining up the scoreboard as well. I think the Cardinals can do it, but I'm just worried about the Niners. Who do they get back? Who are they getting back today? Who's coming back?
They got everybody back last week. Kittle came back last week.
Everyone's going to be healthy?
Debo came back. I mean, everybody but McCaffrey.
It should get done then.
Edgar and Nico going off in the chat. I love it. Ron, the certified hater. Nico wants some prize picks he needs to hit. And then Stroud and Diggs are going to do work for him, he says.
Last year, we ended up going to the teaser of the Texans and the Chiefs, which we needed it teased because they didn't cover the spreads. This week, we'll do the two teams 6 points. Seahawks and 49ers, both 7-point favorites. Take them down to -1, so they just got to win. The Seahawks are playing against the Giants in Seattle. No Malik Neighbors for the Giants. No Devin Singletary. I think, when we get to the survivor pool, I think the Seahawks, if you didn't use them already in an earlier game, I think that they're the pick this week. And then, like I said, I'm going to pair them with the Niners to get it done against the Cardinals in a division game.
I love it, man. I got Diggs in 2 leagues. Dude has been balling, says Edgar. All right, so this is mine here, boys. I had to throw up the Cowboys, the Sunday night game. There's no way I'm picking a winner here, guys. No way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the first half under 21. The Steelers hadn't surrendered more than 10 points in the first 3 weeks besides that funky game last week in week 4. Not a huge receiver that's going to be out for the boys, but there is no Brandon Cooks there. Just not that he's the biggest offensive piece, boys, but, he's missing as well. So that secondary is just going to feast on CeeDee Lamb, and I think it's going to be tough for the Cowboys to come away with points, especially with, a practice squad running back room. Let's call it what it is. I think the Steelers are going to be more committed to running the ball as well. It's going to be one of those ugly games, in my opinion. It's going to be slow. They're going to kill a lot of clock. We're not going to get a lot of fireworks on Sunday night. We could get a Mauer versus Boswell kickoff. If you have these kickers in your fantasy league, you might want to think about, streaming Boswell. I'm sure the Cowboys kicker has already been taken. Could be an ugly game. I'm hoping for that, which is why I'm on the first half under 21. That's the play for me this week. What do you boys think? Is there going to be points or no points in this game?
I don't think there's going to be too many points. I'm kind of in a pickle as far as fantasy defenses to start. I've been starting the Steelers. They've been money up until last week. This week, I picked up the Patriots because they're playing, the Dolphins, and we know how bad the Dolphins have been. But I don't feel good about starting the Patriots. So I've been contemplating whether to start the Steelers. I mean, you just got to pretty much shut down CeeDee Lamb. Yeah. TJ Watt, I don't think had a sack last week. So this week you like him to get after Dak. I like your underplay here. I don't think that there's going to be too many points. Big game from Fields last week. See a lot of people starting him in fantasy football this week. I don't know. I mean, I know the Cowboys are missing some options, but I think it's a little overreaction to last week with Fields. I'm a fan of his, but I don't see another 25 points coming from him at all.
Edgar's comment here, Justin. Tell me you think the Cowboys are going to lose without telling me the Cowboys are going to lose.
Yeah, man.
That's dirty, bro. You said you didn't want to. I mean, do you want to go there? Are you picking a side?
I don't think I'm ready to pick a side because I think we still could win this game. But I think it's going to be close. I am worried because through these 4 weeks, you have seen the offensive line, Ron. They're having problems, and we got Watt on the other side. So it's going to be a tough one. You don't have Cooks, but Jerry's selling us these wolf tickets on this rookie receiver that's supposed to be a stud. Let's see what happens, boy. But it's one of those things. I don't know, man. I'm not so confident today.
And it is in Pittsburgh this game, right?
Yeah,
it is in Pittsburgh.
In the elements in Pittsburgh.
Hey, you want some hater shit? Look at Nico's comment right here.
This might be the best comment that we've had on the show of all time. My homie put in all Steelers pick 6 play.
No. Just straight fading.
The price pick 6.
Man, it
All right,
hasn't been a
man.
bad idea so far, fading the Cowboys defense, but the
True.
Steelers are just offensively, they're hurting offensively. They don't have any consistency.
Yeah.
All right, man. Moving into the fantasy portion of the show, we're almost done here. We have 11:06 a.m., which means you have a little less than an hour to go tinker with your lineups. So we're gonna get you all the information that you need to do that. Some notables, inactives. Neighbors is out. Mixon is out. Jonathan Taylor, Zamir White. That's three running backs here already, which are RB1s more than likely. If these guys are in your lineup, you're starting them. And then you have Kincaid. I'm sorry, Kincaid.
Shakir.
Khalil, yeah, sorry. Shakir, Devontae Adams. Boys, Jonathan Taylor is the biggest news here.
Shit, Malik Neighbors is the biggest.
The Malik, because
That's
he's been
true.
on boom this past 2 weeks. He does get knocked out. He had a concussion against the Cowboys. Trying to make a sideline catch, falls face forward and just gets a limp, bro. I mean, it was a bad knockout, bad concussion. And of course, Mixon, because for the 2 weeks, he was very serviceable for me, but I've been hurting, having to put Akers in, and it's just not been good enough to win these past games, boys.
All right,
Yeah.
so in doing so, obviously these guys can't play, but we're still gonna have some must starts for you guys. I believe the first one is, I think I threw them up there. So I talked about running backs, right? Running backs are being out. Let me go here. All right. So he could have a top 5 running back possibility this week against the Rams at 325. He's projected at 15 and a half points. That's definitely what you want to see, because if he does get an extra touchdown or a touchdown, you're over a 20 piece. I like it. The Rams allow the most rushing yards in the league, boys. So it's pretty much anybody that the Rams are playing, you want to take their running back. In this particular case, you have Jordan Love coming back, but he doesn't have his receivers, boys. We saw Watson is out. I believe Dubes isn't playing either. So you have Wicks, who Roland mentioned on our waiver wire show, and then you have Jaden Reed, right? So those are only two options. I think that they focus more on the game here, and the tone to me is that he's going to have a great floor. You don't need him to hope for a high ceiling here that he's going to go off. He's going to have that solid floor for you guys. And his props is 64 and a half rushing yards. I think you need to take that if you're a betting man. Nico was talking about price picks. This is something that I would do, Nico, over 64 and a half rushing yards. Tell me how you feel, boys. Are you starting Josh Jacobs? Are you flexing him? What's going on?
I'm not the biggest Josh Jacobs fan. I've had some chances to go out and get him. It was with Love out, and they were just kind of stacking the box. There were some games where he had 18, 20 carries or to start the season. His carries have kind of gone down the last 2 or 3 games. This is a good spot against the Rams. The Rams have given it up. We saw them give it up to Mason last week. I mean, Mason's been kind of getting it against everybody, but I'm not mad at this spot against the Rams. I think it's a good get right spot for him. And not getting all those carries the last 2 weeks just means he might be a little bit fresher. So I'm not mad at a big game here for Josh Jacobs. And 64 yards seems very doable.
I love it. Hey, that's 2 for 2. Are you going to make it a consensus here with us?
Yeah, that week 2 against Indies where he had that boom where he had 150 yards. After that, he's had 51 and less than 73 week 3. I think this is a chance we get into that 60-some yard range and he gets it done. The Rams defense, the Rams offense depleted right now. They're playing with 3rd string, 4th string rookies. I think there's a chance where Green Bay gets in. And we saw Jordan Love be able to move the ball a little bit last week. I think that's going to help the run game as well.
Ben, your boy Louie is watching. He says hello.
Conga Lou. The Ravens are winning now, so Lou's back. I like it.
All right, man. Another must start. Another running back. Mr. Kenneth Walker. All right, so Ken Walker, his last game, boys, 3 touchdowns. We saw the explosion, fantasy-wise. This week, he's projected 17.4. Against the Giants, he'll be in the late window. 33.6 fantasy points. And it was against Detroit. Not a, terrible defense over there. Solid defense against the run. I think he's a safe start. This is like when Justin goes and makes his ribs. You said it and you forget it, and you see Kenneth Walker the third do work. What are we thinking, boys? Another must start if you have definitely somebody like Mixon, Jonathan Taylor. You get lucky and you had Walker there because you weren't playing him the last couple of weeks due to injury.
Injury.
Perfect situation, right, for just him to come replace one of those guys that's out.
Yeah, anytime he's healthy, I think he's a must start. And when he's healthy, you don't see Zach Charbonnet get many carries. Like last week was his first week back being healthy, and we really didn't see Charbonnet be featured by the Seahawks.
I think he had like 3 carries, Ben. He was all Walker.
It was all Walker. So he got 3 carries. Walker got 3 touchdowns. But I mean, this game, the only thing that scares me a bit is the blowout potential. But by that point, you think Walker might have already gotten his 15 fantasy points, whatever it may be. I could see the Seahawks blowing them out, but I'm not. You always got to start Walker if he's healthy.
Yeah, this is a complete must start on. If he's healthy, you're playing him. And he did show out with 3 touchdowns last week. He had 12 carries, so they featured him quite a bit. And the Giants can be had. That defense is not the best. And they have one defensive end from Oregon. Ben, do you remember his name? I'm losing the name right now. He's a menace, man.
Oh man.
Other than that, the D line
Somebody
can
in
be
the
had.
chat's got to know.
Yeah, and the defensive tackle is decent, but with what they got with Seahawks, we saw that firefight they were in with the Lions. It can be done again, and I like that they could replicate it, and you could see Kenneth Walker eating at least 2 touchdowns this week. Possible.
I noticed you guys mentioned
It's
Charbonnet,
not
which
something with a T.
It'll come to me in a second.
Pause. Charbonnet out of the backfield. Walker had 4 catches last week for 36 yards too. So he's another guy who can be all three down back, and you don't need that specific pass catching back to go in there. But that's another must start for us. That's our second one. And then I believe we're almost done.
With a T. With a T. It was Thibodeaux. Spelled her weird,
Deep sleep, yeah. Ron. Deep sleep.
This is all you, Ron. I ain't claiming this.
This is all me right here. All right. So this is all me right here, boys. This is the running back week, right? No CMC, Jonathan Taylor, Mixon, Zamir White. Then you have guys on your IR like Pacheco, plus the buys, boys. We haven't even talked about the buys. Saquon, Gibbs, Montgomery, Tony Pollard. That's a lot of running backs that, are going to be out. So say you go to Gibson, the backup for Stevenson in New England. He's still a backup. Wilson is backing up Jacobs in Green Bay. He had like a breakout week 3. Still a backup. Madison from Vegas. He's already been, picked up, I'm sure. And then Ogunbowale. I don't think I butchered that name, from the Texans. You have Cam Akers there. So a bunch of backups, that you're scrolling through your waiver wire. But today there's a RB1 on that waiver wire. It's a deep sleep. He's a converted wide receiver, so he has that ability to get you PPR points with receptions. In a possible negative game script against the Seahawks, Ben mentioned that it could be a blowout. That's when the dinks and dunks come from Danny Dimes. It's going to be check down city because you have an injured Neighbors. So to me, all the stars align here. Tyron Tracy, he still might be available right now if you guys go get him in a super flex league or in a DraftKings situation, something like that. My opinion today, week 5, Tyron Tracy Jr. is gonna go down in the record books, hopefully for me, because I'm in desperation, boys, and I have him on my squad today, and I need a big game from this dude. So let's see if we talking about sports deep sleep hits in week 5.
I don't like it.
You don't like it right away?
I am starting, but I mean, I don't like it, but I got a nasty name starting. Also, you mentioned from the Texans, Ogunbowale.
Yeah.
Ogunbowale. I'm starting him. I don't think Akers is it. I think the Texans realize that Akers isn't it. This kid has a little more juice. So yeah, I am starting him as a deep sleep. Also, because Neighbors is out, if anybody has Wan'Dale Robinson chilling on their bench, he's gotten a lot of targets. You're guaranteed 10+ targets today. If you have Wan'Dale Robinson, receiver for the Giants, I think he's like a prime flex option.
Louis' comment, I'm starting the Colts running back
Trey Sermon
today.
is who he's talking about.
Trey Sermon. We touched on him earlier on Tuesday with the Flex Show. Are you starting Trey Sermon if you're
I'm a Jonathan Taylor owner, bro. And Gibbs is on bye, so I'm really short at running back, and I actually am starting Trey Sermon. I don't feel good about it, Lou. If you have any other options besides him, kind of put him in there so we can say yes, Trey Sermon or that guy. But I'm starting him just because I have to. I don't have another choice. If you have options, hit us with some options and we'll let you know.
I'm a Joe Mixon owner. He's been out. I was starting Cam Akers the past 2 weeks. It hasn't done me much good. So I'm between Sermon and Chase Brown from the Bengals right now to start. Kind of flipping
I
between
would go
both of them.
Sermon in that scenario.
I'm a little bit partial to him. He's a Ohio State kid, so kind of like him.
That kind of brings us to the end of the show, boys.
Let's talk a little Survivor here.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I joined a Week 5 Survivor. I got in another competition that in Week 5 they start one for everybody who's been eliminated, which was pretty much everybody. So, like I said, looking at Survivor today, the two biggest spreads that you have are the Seahawks game being favorites against the Giants, and then you got the Niners being favorites against the Cardinals. I feel like the Seahawks, after losing last week, their defense didn't look very good. But if your defense didn't look good last week, there's no better spot than to get right against Daniel Jones and a neighborless New York Giants team. So I think the Seahawks at home today are like a great NFL Survivor pick. If they're not available, I think the Niners are the second best option.
So, of course, it happens at the end of every show. That's when the fantasy questions start coming in. Need help at the flex? Flowers, McLaurin, or Pittman? Justin, where are you going here?
I think I'd probably go McLaurin here.
Scary Terry?
Over Zay Flowers and Michael Pittman. I think McLaurin.
Bro, I got a big issue with Zay Flowers, man. He's giving me absolutely nothing but week 2, I believe. I benched him this week. Had to. Good. Ben, who you going here, man? Flowers, McLaurin, or Pittman?
I'm going Pittman here because Joe Flacco's the starting quarterback. I think this is one of those weeks where you can feel okay starting Pittman. You might not start Pittman too many times this season with Anthony Richardson, under center. So this week that you have Flacco, you saw Flacco go to him last week. Flacco understands who the number one receiver is, and he's a veteran quarterback that knows that that's the safety blanket. That's kind of where I go. So I do like Pittman today. I'm not mad at Terry. I think Flowers shouldn't be an option like Ron. The MO for the Ravens has been to run the ball, and there just hasn't been many opportunities. Not mad at Scary Terry because he's connected on the deep ball with Jaden Daniels. But I think if you're a Pittman owner, this is one of those weeks where you can start Pittman and feel pretty good about it.
Ben, with Flacco, it seems like once a year he kind of has that one big game. They're playing the Jaguars today. Do you think that's going to be this game?
Could be. I mean, it's an entire game. He came in last week with the lead. So although he did have some big completions, not necessarily for touchdowns, but there were conversions on third down or whatever it may be. With the whole game to go and, game script, him practicing with the ones, this could be the game. I mean, the Jaguars are there to give it up.
I like it. Pittman with Flacco is why I'm starting him today in one of my leagues, says Alan. Yeah. Boys, I think we're done. Thanks for everybody who was watching. We had Steven here, Edgar, Alan, Eddie. As always, like, share the video. Louis, can't forget about Big Lou. Nico was in here too. I'm scrolling through everything.
Yeah, I know you've been talking shit about the Astros, but I mean, the Dodgers lost, right? Game 1?
No, they won. They came back and won.
Calm down, baby.
Oh, my God.
Calm down, boy.
But I know he was sweating it because they were down for a minute.
What you talking, man?
Wow.
Here's the thing with Ron, though. This is my beef with Ron. I'm gonna say it out loud.
Air it out.
So Ron decides that he wants to make the Astros post, right? And that's the only team he posts. Like all these other transactions happen where other teams have lost, and Ron doesn't update.
He knows his market.
I mean, this guy has hate in his heart, brother. I mean, he's tired of seeing the Astros winning. He can't stand it.
Bro, nobody cares if like the A's lose or some meaningless team.
The A's weren't in the playoffs. You know it wasn't the A's.
Let me finish my point. If it's like me and my lagging point over here, I'm lagging. But if it's like the Dodgers or the Astros or the defending champs like the Rangers, hey, that's news, bro. And it was just news, Justin. It wasn't anything personal. It's just news.
Didn't the Braves get knocked out? I mean, that's noteworthy.
Hey, Justin has all the ability to put information on our social media pages as well. But it's 11:21. You have 39 minutes to put any last minute bets. fantasy move rosters, or anything else. Where are we talking about sports? We appreciate everybody that stopped by. Follow us on our social medias. Give us show ideas, questions, anything that you guys want to see or hear us do. Let us know, man. For me, for Ron, I'm out. Boys, anything you want to say before we go?
No, just enjoy Sunday.
All right.
Yeah, looking forward
Cheers,
to 8
everybody.
hours commercial free football, baby.
See ya.